Today is November 5th, and the off season has begun. Let's talk Yanks.
Talking Yanks with old John Boy and Jake. Recaps galore, weekly awards, stat lines, theme and hot takes. Get your Yankees news from these two fine dudes. It's time for Talking Yanks. Talking Yanks with old John Boy and Jake. Talking Yanks with old John Boy and Jake.
Hello and welcome to Talking Yanks. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's presented to you by SeatGeek, where you can use code YANKS15 for 15% off any ticket. Go see another sport or a show. Maybe it's theater time because sports are gone for a little bit. No matter how many times you bought tickets using SeatGeek before, Yanks15 is going to get you 15% off your next order. How about that? My name's Jimmy. His name's Jake. BBD in the corner, and it's the first off-season episode of Talking Yanks. Jake, how do you do?
Jimmy, Davis, hey guys and gals, everyone tuning in. Happy 2025. A new year is upon us. New president soon, probably. So, 2024 is gone. Although we got our first Brian Cashman quote, and we think we might be getting more later today that we can circle up on. But, still a little hollow from it. I mean, just World Series, embarrassing, having all the Dodgers come out and say the scouting report was to beat the Yankees playing generic baseball, middle school baseball, put the ball in play. Joe Kelly, wherever there's a microphone, pooping on the Yankees. Dave Roberts then comes out with the first, positive mean quote. He was like, oh, dude, I was so scared to come back for Game 6. And it's like, that's because similarly talented teams, but one was a much better team. So
Roberts also did say that Padres was the World Series.
A little bit.
Which, yeah.
Talent-wise and the way those teams were built, absolutely.
Yeah, we got that to cover. The Cole opt-out, we'll talk about that. Gleyber didn't get the qualifying offer. Soto did. Maybe he takes that. Pillow contract year, build on it.
Little 10-year cut or 10-year cut.
How about it? And then we will maybe we'll tell you what's the plan for future episodes, because next week I think we're going to each present what our plan would be, off-season plan. We never really dove into that, but I'm embracing it, having fun with it this year. And then we're going to have you guys react to that. And we'll keep going. There's going to be news, dude. That's the one thing that's kind of killing me about a deep World Series run is no break. Like when the next day when the qualifying offers came and the opt-outs came, I was like, no, give me a window, breathing room.
Body's still warm.
Which kind of is what they said to Cole. But
yeah, and that's the, Maddie and BBD were planning out some Talking Yanks stuff, and it's like the next couple weeks are going to have it. Usually end of December through mid-January, we start digging through the archives, and it's like, George Steinbrenner used to date a whale, and it's like, oh, okay, let's talk about that for 15 minutes. But yeah, no, we are right back in it. And
January is the dead time.
The story's going to go from Cole, which came and went, and then it's going to be a lot of Soto. A lot of Soto for a few weeks. So
I'm not reading any Soto updates.
None.
They're all going to be so empty and so terrible to read. I think I'm going to be gone for winter meetings.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be in Australia on my trip. So
it's a late winter meeting, so I wonder how much gets done before then, or if
when's winter meetings?
Soto holds everything up. It's the 8th through the 11th or something like that. I was just looking at
something like that, 7th.
It's usually the
week
first
is
week, so it's not
later.
Not crazy.
Oh yeah,
late,
but I will be in Australia for those. So whatever. Soto's not going to get done by then. I would be shocked if Boris does something before fucking February 14th.
We'll see.
Be Soto pushing the button like Harper did.
I think when the contracts are that big, I think you control more of the button.
Yeah.
This isn't a Boris 4 situation where it's guys looking for really good contracts. I mean, this is Soto getting a revolutionary contract.
But has Boris ever signed someone that early?
Yeah, he signs guys at the winter meetings.
Like,
there's times that we can point to that were like the extremes of like waiting it out and all that, and the market was weird.
I mean, Cole's a Boris guy, right?
yes. That's the other thing. The Yankees like to get it done early. But we'll see if other people are in play, because Judge got done at winter meetings.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that really crazy year was the like open collusion year where Machado and Harper
and then
went
last
in the
year.
spring.
Strasburg, did he get done? Rendon with the Angels. Wow.
Yeah,
Greg Maddux was a Boris contract.
Look at that.
It's crazy. Yes, so off-season talk will begin, but it is the regular season. In the warehouse, Jake and I just played game 1. Go check that out. I won't spoil it. Game 2 is tonight, and here is the pregame show.
Blitzball Battle 5 getting y'all set for game number 2 between Forgotten Rotten and Del Caribe. This is a fascinating matchup, right? You've got a 2-time former champion, Trevor Plouffe. Then he's got Shelfie. And Del Caribe, we know all about Lou Dab. He can get it done. The question is, can Joe's throw any strikes?
That is the number one question. We know what we're going to get from Lou. Trevor's going to tell us what we're going to get from Trevor throughout the whole game. It's about the other guys.
So what do you think?
And Shelfie's background, he's played in the Blitzball World Series 3 different times. He feels really confident. My prediction here is going to be Forgotten Rotten. I'm not even thinking about this one.
It's tough for me to go against Trevor Plouffe. I think they're going to win.
Also, Trev needed somewhere to put his chain.
So you stole it?
This is my baby gift from Trev. Not on the registry, but I accept.
Okay, so you two made your prediction. I'm going with Forgotten Rotten.
Yeah.
Del Caribe they didn't win a game in Blitzball Battle
Look,
4.
you're in my heart, guys.
Yeah, they've never beaten Forgotten Rotten in anything. But you'll have to tune in and see for yourself later today. Blitzball Battle 5.
Go check that out. I watched it last night, and it was I was just laughing. And kudos to our editing team, because they included all these tiny moments that are like not the gameplay. And kudos to Trev, man. It was like the most I've appreciated the character of Trev in the warehouse. Him, and then Kelsey's, he's making jokes. Kelsey's reporting on his jokes in reporter voice, and it just it's cracked me up.
You
It's
don't
so
see
fun.
that a lot.
So I was texting Kelsey like, this is so funny. Anyway, where do you want to start? Yanks?
I would start Yanks.
You want to talk Yanks?
I would start Yanks.
Well, scouting report was to make him play baseball.
Yeah, I mean, again, we do so much content and different stuff around here now that, like, hey, we just mentioned the Blitzball stuff, and if you haven't checked that out, it really is an incredible product. But yeah, we go so hard in October and into the earliest part of November this year that, we haven't done a Talking Yanks since we were literally at the stadium. So, as much as we've been talking in our Yankees group chat, and I'm sure you guys have been too, that every time a quote comes out, and hopefully you guys follow our Twitters and Instagrams and all that stuff. But yeah, if you have no idea, if you consume Talking Yanks and that's how you consume it, the Dodgers players and scouts and coaches came out and said that their game plan was to beat the Yankees by playing baseball.
Yeah. I mean, it was actually, where the fuck's that article? Because it was really like, it was that, but it was specific stuff that we've been complaining about all year that everyone kind of knew that watched.
Outfield shifts. That was one of your big ones.
That is crazy to me. Okay, because the base running, the metrics, they're bad in all the metrics. I pulled up when we talked to Boone about that, and he just defends every single base running move. And some of them I'm fine with it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, a straight caught stealing, whatever you're trying to run. Some of the other stuff. But the Yankees were thrilled at how short Yankee leads were at first base to potentially be less of a threat on pivots at second, where Gavin Lux does not excel. Like, that's a base running thing that you don't talk about. They said their metrics had the Yankees as the worst positioned outfield. You can go, anyone that listened, since we watched them play live in Fenway, I walked away from that. I was like, dude, I think they suck at shifting the outfield. You can't follow it on TV because they don't show you when they shift. But when I was at that game, and we had a view of their dugouts. I was honed in on all the signals the dugout was giving the players, and I was like, and I think it's the same coach that does both those things. He does the leads and he does the outfield shifts. I think it's the same coach. So he's got to read that and be like, fuck.
Right.
But that wasn't a public one. That was like base running, everyone knew, sloppy play. This was, because you don't see it and there's no real metrics on it. But yeah, dude, every time they shifted anywhere, it was wrong.
And there's, for base running, because obviously there were some Yankee lowlights, and, between what we've seen out of some of Gleyber's plays, out of just Stanton's running ability at this point. In a way, the Yankees are built to not be a base running team, and that part is okay. Like, yeah, if you have a lot of Aaron Judges, and we saw what G did in the playoffs, yes, you're probably not going to light up the base running numbers. They still could have been better at it. And the other thing that all of these combos spiral into is that the Yankees literally didn't have focus, or they don't take the game of baseball seriously, and that's what hurt them. The defensive outfield shifts, I mean, that's brutal. And, if the Dodgers said that their metrics had them worse in the league, which, hey, the Dodgers just won, Yankees metrics probably had them being great, which, again, that is the problem. I think the biggest eye-opening thing for me was, because we went through the year and we were like, hey, these Yankees versus left-handed pitching, like, what's going on? And then, like, Gleyber kicked into gear versus lefties, and, like, Giancarlo, he had a couple playoff swings that it was like, okay, so, even Jazz, left on left, is a solid baseball player, that it's like, okay, there's some signs of life. The G stuff didn't make sense. Gleyber got better. You added Jazz, whatever. The playing division opponents, because we were on that one too, and it was like, hey, this doesn't pass the sniff test. Like, so the teams that know you the best, you're the worst at?
Yeah. It was what happened when they went to Kansas City the first time, and they beat the Royals handily, and then they went to Fenway, and the Red Sox just destroyed them. And we, on that show, we were like, well, dude, the Royals had almost no scouting on the Yankees at that point.
Right.
And the Red Sox just outed them to the league.
Well,
here's how you beat these guys.
I think the other thing is, and it's the thing we've talked about all year long, and it almost makes me want to apologize to Clay Holmes, because a lot of times Clay Holmes was the target when Clay Holmes was the victim. Clay Holmes, the Yankees chalked it up to bad luck. And if he played with a better defensive team, maybe Clay Holmes would have been one of the best closers in baseball. But they didn't have that. So they just hammered the table, and they were like, no, Clay's the best closer in the league. It's like, well, A, probably not, and you guys are just trying to instill some fake confidence with his entrance song. And then B, like, with the weapons and tools around him, he's definitely not. And instead, he's almost a liability. And the fact that they just ignored some of that stuff, and I think there's other teams that around the league were probably too proud of the scouting report, that literally the Dodgers came out and said this. The scouting report is put the ball in play. It's a middle school scouting report.
I mean, I was saying on our live streams, all you got to do to beat the Yankees is bunt to in between the pitcher and third base. I truly believe you could beat them if you did that. As long as Jazz doesn't start playing like Rizzo.
Right.
Every time Jazz was on the dirt, if they bunted there enough, you would beat the Yankees. I truly, not like being a sarcastic dick, like I truly believe you would score probably 5 runs a game.
Right. Yeah, if the Yankees couldn't adjust.
If they did not adjust. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's literally what the Dodgers said. The Yankees would make a mistake, and maybe, bunting has become such a faux pas word in baseball, but it's literally the concept of putting the ball in play. Which in the strikeout generation of baseball that we're coming out of a little bit, like people are valuing quick outs, and the hitting side finally woke up and was like, wait, if strikeout's good for pitcher, maybe not strikeout good for batter. It got magnified on the biggest stage, and it's embarrassing. And the Dodger players are literally laughing. Because, they had to have a moment of panic where they were like, wait, the scouting report is make the Yankees play baseball? Wait, they're going to mess up enough relay throws that we're going to win the World Series? Yes. Quite literally, yes. So, God, man.
Dude, that was the other thing in the article that they talked about that we had talked about, and Boone kind of like slyly let us into it. Because it started with the Field of Dreams game where Dominguez double pumped and everyone blamed Dominguez.
Williamsport game.
Williamsport. And then the next series in Chicago, it was against the White Sox, maybe I forget. Judge did like the same thing. And we asked Boone about it, and he was like, well, I think Volpe told him, and I was like, oh, that's like Volpe job, like the outfield listens. And then if you watched any ball, Volpe and Jazz were clueless as to where to be and also weren't directing the outfielders.
And Glaber.
Yes. But that doesn't really come up to play in right field that much because you just throw home.
Well, the whole play in game 1, the throw to second base.
Yeah. But I mean, you throw. I mean, like Judge and the left fielders would throw, like the runner that could throw the runner out, or they would throw home instead of keeping the runner from getting to second.
Right.
Like it was just and Jazz was never in the right spot, which I don't know if that's Jazz's fault. Probably not, because he never played the position, never even did a spring training there.
Right.
But Volpe's a shortstop. But if that's another thing, if you watch in person or you watch the high home cameras, you can be like, oh my goodness.
Right.
They just have no idea what to do with this. And then the Dodgers write that they have no idea where to be. So yeah, it was a brutal read. Joe Kelly has taken it too far to where I'm like, okay, dude, you're actually fucking this up now, Joe Kelly.
Yeah.
Because your first line when you called it, they're going to play Yankee defense, that stung.
Yeah.
Dodgers fans were in my Twitter acting like I was like upset with Joe Kelly. I was not. I was happy he said that because the Yankees need to hear that. But then, is this the clip of him saying more stuff?
Yeah, this is yesterday's audio.
So this,
You
I'm mad
said
that
you
he's
play-
did this.
Yankee
Not at
fan.
him.
So did you guys know? Was that sort of the thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were saying it every single game. Just let them throw the ball to the infield. They can't make a play. I mean, you saw Shohei got an extra base going to third on sloppy Glaber play. It's well known. We all knew. I mean, we're the Dodgers. We know every little detail. But I mean, past that, it was a fun series. I mean, they almost snagged a couple wins. You know what I mean? But I mean, if it was like the NCAA, like basketball, baseball, hockey, or football, I mean, like it was just a mismatch from the get go. Like we had a playoff re-ranking. Like they might be ranked 8th or 9th best playoff team. You know what I mean? Like you're putting the Padres ahead of them. You're putting the Phillies ahead of them. You're putting the Mets ahead of them. You're putting the Braves ahead of them, and the Braves just got unlucky because they had to play that doubleheader. You're putting, I mean, the Guardians played like crap, but the Guardians played better D,
That's
better
why he blew it.
baseball around. Like it was just a complete mismatch, and it's kind of the same feeling from 2018 when we had to go play the Dodgers. Like the Red Sox were just a way better team. So all we knew is that we just had to play regular Dodger baseball. We didn't have to play out of our butts. We didn't have to do anything crazy, and we were going to win the World Series.
Yeah, so that's where he blew it to where the Yankees can hear that now and just scoff it off as, well, I mean, yeah, you win, you get to say what, like this is what Boone would say if we asked him. You win, you get to say what you want to say, and you get to act how you want to act. And if it's true or you're just rubbing it in, you get to do that. And that's what they would do. It's like when the minor leaguer was like, they don't teach baseball skills in the minor leagues anymore in the Yankees. They just teach hard hit competitions and hard throw competitions. And we asked Boone about it, and he was like, you got to think about where those quotes are coming from. It's a guy that's not with the organization anymore. Might be a little upset that he's not with the organization anymore. It's like it gives them a lane to discredit, which obviously is not true. But I want the Yankees to have to face this. So I was like, damn, Joe Kelly, like that line about the Guardians blew your whole thing because now you're just a guy talking shit. Guardians stunk, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm aware the Yankees had an easy path to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And the Dodgers, 5 times better team than the Guardians. Yankees were better than the Guardians. Guardians were, didn't have enough talent to beat the Yankees or really be there. The American League was soft. And then they mismanaged the hell out of that series.
Well, it's my only regret from our post-game biggest episode ever, Yankees lose the World Series, is that I said that the Dodgers weren't a better team when in fact that's all they were. Because I think the talent was equal. For the Guardians and the Royals, the Yankees on the talent spectrum are in a different world. Whether you're looking at like Cole, Stan, Juan Soto. Like, you're not going to hear the Guardians and the Royals in the bidding for Soto. That the Yankees on a talent level were in a different world than those teams. Talent level, the Dodgers, pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. And, you know, maybe the Dodgers were more talented. And I think Yankee fans were at grips like, hey, if we lose this World Series and the depth in their lineup outbangs us, or if their bullpen, you know, your biggest thing was like, hey, if their starters are going to pitch, then we're probably screwed. Their starters pitched, which means their bullpen was deeper and they were going to be good there. Like, the Dodgers are extremely talented. The talent levels were very similar. The Dodgers were a much better team, and that is taking the defense seriously, taking extra bases, not worried about where they are in the batting order. Freddie Freeman hit a walk-off grand slam and went down a spot in the lineup the next day. Miggy Rojas started a game at shortstop for them. Tommy Edman in the first game batted 9th after winning the CS MVP. Like, the Dodgers were a better team, and like, it's almost... Again, we're going to have more Cashman quotes come out, and we're going to see throughout the offseason and how the Yankees take things seriously. But in a way that the Yankees were like disrespectful to the game of baseball.
Well, that's what...
none of the little stuff mattered to them, and that's what ended up losing them a World Series.
There was that other reporter that wrote for The Athletic. What's his name? I'm blanking on it. Grant Brisbee, was it?
Grant Brisbee. Yeah, he had an article out.
Yes, and his whole article was like the Yankees disrespected baseball.
Well, and that's, you know, if anyone thinks we're being too over the top, Patter, so you guys talk to Boone every week. Well, you know, Joel Sherman, the clip that, I mean, if we want to play that one right now, I mean, that one's almost. I showed that to our front desk guy, Luis. He's new to baseball, and I was
Which
talking.
one?
The Joel Sherman clip that's like, if the Yankees lose in the postseason.
Oh, when he predicted it?
It's going to be because they don't take the game seriously. It'll be poor defense and poor base running and like a lack of care.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. And that's how many times this episode am I going to say another thing that makes me mad? Another thing that made me mad in hindsight was this Yankees team probably should have won like 105 games this year. And part of the new playoff format.
I don't know about that.
Well, dude, if they cared,
they
took, like, look at the defense Judge played in the postseason. Like, it was another level out there.
I think you're forgetting the lineup was really bad besides Judge and Soto.
In the postseason or the regular season?
Right. You said 100 games. Like, they didn't have really the depth to do that.
Well, it goes into this whole concept the AL was horrible this year. The AL East was not competitive.
I know. I'm just saying.
The West was not strong. The Central was not strong. That this whole concept, if the Yankees took defense seriously and just the whole process of baseball seriously, if they had removed Clay Holmes from the closer spot in June and said, hey, you know what? Like, we need to figure this out.
That's the best one that would have
like,
won games.
If they
won
had
94 games,
if they didn't treat Volpe with kitty gloves throughout, and like I think we saw the focus, dude. Look how Volpe and Glaber looked with focus and intensity. Not this is everyday baseball. It's 162.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Yeah,
like,
Glaber at the plate,
dude. If they had that throughout the season, I think this would have been an over 100 wins team, and maybe they have home field in the World Series, and who knows? You can do the ripple effect so many different ways.
Yeah, I don't know, because they did have they did get the benefit of having a soft team. I think that helped them out a lot as well to get to 94 wins. I mean, they didn't really have, they had a lot of bats that were just dead for a while. I mean,
well, that's the thing. I mean, they could have
Volpe, Verdugo, Rizzo, Oswaldo, Trevino.
If this was, well, it's
DJ, Trent, all got 200 plate appearances, and they're all well below average. Like, they were
right, but think about how much Oswaldo you saw in the second half that looked like a different player. If he was on the Dodgers org, Oswaldo would have played a lot more.
Yes.
Like, Volpe, when he was struggling, and it clearly seems like if Volpe gets a little rest, he plays a little better. Like, what? Like, again, there's this ripple effect that the Yankees do not believe in that other organizations do believe in, and that's baseball. And it's, hey, if you take Clay Holmes and put him in the 7th inning, it doesn't have to be like the craziest announcement in the world. Like, the Dodgers rotated their bullpen guys and who's the hot hand. And, like, for all the stars that's on that team, they changed Mookie's positions. Like, they weren't proud.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time to change position, to change anything. They were.
How much earlier would Dominguez have been up with the Dodgers to find out if he could play?
I'm very curious if Dominguez can play.
They had James Outman last year on the Dodgers. He
did have 2 injuries.
James Outman was one of the best rookies in the National League last year. This year, it didn't happen. They called up Andy Pages, and he performed for them at times. That, like, the Yankees don't do that stuff, and you know that.
Yeah, they just lock in.
That put those players in worse positions.
Yeah, I my point is more when you say that, I think the Yankees be like, yeah, see, we're fine. And I'm like, no, I think you could have been easily an 88 win team with what you guys do.
See, with how bad the AL was last year and how talented the Yankees were, I don't. And I think that's the problem.
Like, things could have been worse.
Like, I think
Orioles blew it at the end.
I think the Yankees were so talented. This was almost as, I mean, they had high moments throughout the year, but this team to be under 90 wins, I don't think they possibly could have compared to the other talent on teams. And that's the problem.
Yeah, but they don't care about chasing 100. They fear missing the playoffs. But, yeah. Cashman did have quotes already, which I think people are upset about. But
and isn't he under 5'10"?
Probably.
Yes.
Probably says he's 5'10".
No chance.
Yeah, I know.
No chance.
I don't know.
Cashman says he's 5'8".
Okay.
Under 5'10" makes modern basics for shorter dudes. Come on.
Wikipedia says 5'10".
Yeah. Okay. Including jeans,
Same.
chinos, joggers, button-downs, hoodies, tees, and more, all at a great price. You know what? This is what I'll tell our short kings, or maybe our queens that know some short kings. What's your biggest clothing hiccup? Is it pants? Is it shirts? Is it hoodies? Is it what's the one that gets you? Like, God, I love a pullover, but it's always a little long. Guess what? It's 'cause you're short. So go to under510.com/talk and you get $10 off your first order. Wow. That's okay. So yeah, shop.under510.com/talk and $10 off your first order. Do it.
Do it. Here's what Cashman said, which I'm actually happy with. People are going to be upset about this, but I was actually something I was going to say. He says he agreed that this year's team wasn't the best defensive team we've had and conceded that it made some base running mistakes. That's great, because last year when they were awful, he went to war, but suggested the bigger issue in the World Series was that they just didn't play their best. They didn't hit. Judge didn't hit. So that is the biggest issue still is Judge did not hit. The Dodgers won the World Series, and I congratulate them. I wish we gave them our best shot, but you only have a small window to do that. And then he said, we were in the right to get there, but we didn't play our best baseball while there. We got sent home. He admitted the defense wasn't a strength. I think some of it's inherent to certain players we have.
Like, dude, that's a crazy quote.
He's talking about Soto, Glaber, Jazz. But Jazz is just out of position.
It's a team he built.
Yeah.
Like, anytime Cashman says inherit to some of our players.
They can't wait to get rid of Glaber. I mean...
that's this whole article to me. This whole article is shots fired at Glaber.
Yeah.
He basically says we have good players that don't play good.
Yeah. He said, it is irony. It is highlighted the irony that the mistakes in the fateful fifth inning of the 7-6 game 5 loss were made by some of their best defenders, Volpe, Judge, Cole, and Rizzo. Now, Rizzo is lumped in by previous years. He wasn't a good defender this year. That is a good point. All the scouting reports, and I was talking to some of the people that got info, that had that info from the Dodgers, they were not about Judge and Volpe. They were about Glaber and Jazz specifically, that they were never ready for the pitch on defense and that they had no idea where to go when the ball was at the outfield. And Soto, obviously, everyone knows he's not a good outfielder in right field. But mostly it was on Glaber, Jazz, Soto as like the biggest weak spots. And Jazz gets lumped in just because he's playing a new position for the first time. But it is like Judge. I watched every fly ball when I was making the breakdown that Judge has ever had come to him. He never dropped one. I watched every play where Volpe throws the ball to third to get the lead runner. He's made that play. It was like 14 times. That was the first time he spiked one. Cole has never not covered. I watched every time a ball was hit to first base. He always covers. He's like fucking Messina. Cole was going through a brain fog and like had just the world blown up on him.
And he'd seen Rizzo make that play in the first inning.
But it's just a fact that like it was part of their fabric, which is what Ryan Ruocco said, that the team as a whole just I don't know how you do it, how you coach it, like can lose focus like that, and it all happens, you know. So I understand. I agree. Like if it was Soto Glaber, which it was on the bounced ball in game 1, but the game 5, those errors on those people does give them a little out, which sucks because at least Cash is saying, I know we are not good base running and defensive, but I'm not. It hasn't been those guys before. Well, it was them this time.
Yeah. Again, I don't blame Cole for that at all. So I don't have him in there. Rizzo throwing him in the mix is kind of reckless by Cashman because you were subbing him out for Oswaldo, who Oswaldo first base is his 5th best position. Judge, yeah, I mean that the Judge thing is crazy. It's a fly ball to center, and he didn't hit. He hits a home run in that game, and it seemed like his at bats were getting a lot better, which is part of the frustration. But that was the first one, and that. Like, all of these could have erased each other. Any one of these gones, it's a 0 on the scoreboard, and we're playing Game 6 in L.A., but it didn't happen, and that is, we were texting Ruocco, and he said it's part of the fabric of this team. And they've believed in a go switch. They believe in that, and like you saw it in Judge's defense in center. And, hey, I know it's not the reason he dropped the ball, but center field is Judge's second-best position. And, like, that's one of those things when you really start getting into your offseason plans. Like, okay, if you need to – the Yankees have a lot of – if they re-sign Soto, the Yankees still have a lot of talent on this team that, okay, how do we shake this? And it's getting – like, one of the first things you can do instantly is get guys playing positions they are strong at. Like, that is your first step.
Yeah, they're like pretty deep into that. I don't know how it's gonna. We'll map it out on the post on the next couple episodes, but yeah. So in a way, it's nice that they have to face this now. You know, Mike Cole and I were talking like when they went to the World Series. You know, just in the desk, just chatting. He's like, if they win the World Series, does it kind of just excuse everything they've been saying? He's like, because was this season fun? And I'm like, well, April and May were fun. Royals and Guardians series were fun. But yeah, in the middle there, it was really like not a fun watch or team. It was just slog and terrible. And then anyone like countering, or if there's people that aren't Yankees fans that are like, you guys annoying, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for listening this deep into the show. Joel Sherman also summed this up as best you could possibly sum it up, which is something we've said as well. They're like, you guys, World Series are bust. Your fans are so spoiled. The Yankees sell that. Yeah. That is what they tell the fans to judge them on. And I know they haven't won a World Series in 15 years, and they're not the Yankees of old, and that is exactly what we are upset about. That's because the problem. They charge you like they're the Yankees of old, and they act like they're the Yankees of old. And when you criticize them, they say, well, look at us. Look at the pedigree we have. And it's like, well, you don't anymore.
Right.
You guys are not this anymore. And they act like they are, and they still say it's World Series or bust. That's the goal. Okay, well, then we're going to be fans and grade you on what you're selling. You know what I mean? If you tell me that this is the best chocolate pie you ever heard, and then I buy it and it's not even chocolate.
It's pecan pie.
I'm going to be like, hey, no. Yeah. So that's where the reaction comes. The Mariners get told they're trying to go 50-50 or whatever the fuck, 60 game. What was he trying?
I think they said that the Mariners are trying to win 83 games a year or something like that.
Yeah. So 84 games, 83 games. Yeah. So that's 54%. So 54% of the games. I knew it was a 50 number. The Yankees say World Series bust. So that's what we do. In 2017, they said this is a rebuilding year and we might not be trying to win. And when they won, it was like, damn, this is awesome. And when they got there that far and they lost in the ALCS, no one was mad because, hey, it was a rebuilding year. And now you got a window to attack.
Didn't know Houston was cheating.
And didn't know Houston cheating. But it's the same thing. No one was upset about that result because the expectations were kind of laid out for the fan base.
Yeah, it was more, that result was sad. You lost in a 7-game CS series. And like even 2018, 2019 was kind of simple. Like you got beat. I think those times it was like, okay, it was seeing Chapman do it again. That hurt. But again, it was like, okay, we got beat by those guys because they're really good. And I don't know, man. Every year it's okay. What do the Yankees need? Wow, God, it seems like they have no lefties. I think that's problematic. We need lefties. Hey, I think we need to get more athletic. Brought in a couple athletes around the horn, playing the wrong positions. Like the learning lessons from this year are very clear. Like you need to take it a little more seriously, and you need to penalize defensive mental errors. Like that's where the Judge thing, as sad as it is, like the Volpe throw, that's a physical error. He tried to make a play. He made the play poorly. Whatever happened at first base, that's a mental error. The relay throws, those are mental errors. That's not physical. Although for Gleyber, sure, he could have still put his body in front. It would have been a play we never spoke about.
Soto and Wright, I think, is physical.
Well, that's talent, but
Yeah.
he hits at such a high level that his right field defense you have to live with for a degree till now. Like the him and Judge conversations are going to be very interesting because those are big body boys that, yeah, you need to get guys in their best position.
I agree. I don't know how they're going to do it. But I'm excited to find out.
Yeah.
I have stumbled into something a little odd.
Okay.
You know how their record in versus lefty starters, Baseball Reference had them under 500?
Yes.
I think Baseball Reference does the pitcher of record. So it could be like a reliever or a reliever that gets the win or the loss, not the starting pitcher. Because I've been doing the calculations to show that like they got better at that after the break.
Right.
And the numbers don't match up versus started, like who started the game, which I
like when it just says record versus lefties.
Yeah.
I mean, do they take out maybe like openers and stuff like that?
I don't think it's sophisticated enough for that. I would guess they have it, the script as pitcher of record, which is, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Like I keep running into these things on Baseball Reference where I'm like, wait, this isn't calculated, right? And I've trusted you for 10 years.
You have them as 21 and 23 versus.
So on the season, they were 21 and 21 when a lefty started the game. Still not good. After the break, they were, isn't that weird? They were 9 and 9.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it must be pitcher of record, which makes sense that they would do that because in the old days that was normal. But yeah, so they had 44 games where a lefty started, and they went 21 and 21.
21 and 23.
Well, that's what
44 games, 21 and 23. So there's something missing there.
D2. Yeah, there's something missing.
Maybe you're missing the factor in your life. Go out and get some factor. The days are shorter. Jeez, factor people. Punch us where it hurts. But it's true. Your to-do lists aren't, though. So you need to power through the days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Bang. Breakfast to dinner and anything in between. Factor has what you're looking for. You can maximize your protein intake, avoid meat, simply eat well balanced, chef prepared and dietitian approved. You're going to love how they taste and how they support your goals. Factor has been a big part of our office. We usually have a couple boxes in there. Hey, you need a meal? We got to go. 2 minutes. Throw it in. It's ready to go. If you want to watch me eat Factor meals, there's video of that on the internet. Interesting. Head to factormeals.com/Yanks50. Use code Yanks50 to get 50% off your first box, 20% off your next month. That's code Yanks50 at factormeals.com/Yanks50. And get 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. There's a link in the description.
There's a link in the description. And yes, they're right. When you count it, it just looks like more wins. I had the times wrong.
Okay.
But they were 9-8 after Jazz joined with first lefty starters. I think there was they had a winning record towards the end.
Yeah, like
Stanton and Glaber
September
being
record.
bad was
Well, Glaber ended up good against lefties, but the first half of the season.
first half, yeah, and Stanton as well.
Stanton didn't until the playoffs. That was nuts.
What day was the All-Star break? The 13th of July?
Around there.
Give or take.
Oh, here. They came back with the Mets, right?
Sure.
I think they ended on the Orioles.
Ended Orioles, started Rays, then Mets.
So Rays didn't have any lefties.
Yeah.
So after the All-Star game, they were 10-10. Not good.
Still not great for who they are.
Yeah. It was really...
I mean, in the two playoff series, they lost to Reagans and Boyd, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it was just at the very end of the season, they were 8-3 against lefty starters to end the season. And I guess that's where Stan started going. Whatever. I remember looking at that and being like, maybe they got better. There's just too many walks, man.
Yeah.
I know walks are good, but you got to have some people that can hit.
Yeah.
Would have walked less if there were people to hit and they wouldn't just walk them.
Yeah. Because I think their on-base percentage versus lefty starters is like good.
Lineup depth was definitely one of the big differences in just taking the game seriously. Feels like we can somewhat attack those.
I don't know. I don't know how much lessons are going to be learned from making it to the World Series and losing. I would bank on none.
I think that's what every Yankee fan is thinking, the Yankees front office. And I think that's more the biggest fear from the Cashman quotes is the first murmurs are, yes, we know that some of our guys weren't good defensively, but some of them were, but not when it mattered.
Bummer.
You want to tell the people what's coming up for Talking Yanks?
Next episode?
Well, the next couple weeks. You teed that up at the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing next episode.
Next episode will be a little bit almost previewing what next week's activity will be in effect.
And we'll probably get more
just laying
Cashman
out.
quotes.
We'll have Cashman quotes by then to break down. We'll talk about general, like, what we need in the offseason. And then next week, you came up with some exciting episode ideas.
Yeah.
that people will be
Yeah,
excited
our
for.
off season with the budget and then reacting. I think I said that in the open. We got to talk about the Cole situation because it is kind of like bizarre.
Yeah, let's do that.
Cole had an opt-out in his deal. After 5 years, he already made $200 million or whatever it is, right? Is that,
Something like that.
is it was it just straight up 36 a year?
36 per year.
36. So that'd be
Everyone knows 36 times 5 is
Yeah,
$180.
$180. Did he probably get
180.
Did he get a signing bonus or some shit? Because someone told me he's already made $200.
I mean, in his career, I think for sure with Arb. I can look into it.
Yeah. So he had an opt-out, and he can opt out of that deal and become a free agent and it would be 4 years, $36 million a year remaining that he is walking away from. So everyone knows 36 times 4 is 144 million. He's walking away from that. The Yankees, if they did not want to lose him to the open market, could say, here's 36 more million, 1 more year. Boom, we got you. No one's going to take you. You're ours. So Cole opts out, thinking the Yankees, I'm guessing, would just hit that button, and he gets 36 more million.
Push a button.
The Yankees say, and Cashman has full quotes on this that are like really detailed quotes, like tiny, crazy long paragraphs. Says they weren't ready to do that. They didn't have enough time after the World Series. They weren't comfortable doing that. They really wanted him back, so they were open to having conversations and working on things. They want him to retire a Yankee. Cole, according to Cashman, said, I want to be back. Like, this is where I don't want to leave. And basically Cashman said, hey, we're not going to do that, but we don't want you to go to free agency. So if you just undo the opt-out, we'll still honor the deal as is. Because in a world that Yanks can be, Cole could be like, no, I'm going to free agency. Or the Yanks could be like, well, now you opted out of that. So if you want to play for us again, we're actually going to have to renegotiate. We could do the next 4 years at $20 million a year. They don't have to honor it once he opts out, but they did and said, you can just undo the opt-out, basically. Like, oopsies, okay. So nothing changes. But it's a good sign that Cole wants to be here.
Yeah.
It's a good sign that the Yankees, Hal said they're not going to raise payroll from last year. So I know I'm not pro not paying players here, but there is the luxury tax that exists. Hal has said he's going to adhere to it and it wants to stay the same. So if that's the ballpark that we're in, this does help the Yankees the next couple of years go get talent. So Cole's just back.
Yeah, you wonder, and we'll find out in the Brian Hoke book in 2 years. You wonder how things fully went down and what gentlemen's agreements were understood going in, what gentlemen's agreements were understood going out. Because it sounds like conversations are still going. I enjoyed your early theory of hey, maybe they're talking about a little deferred money on the back end of this, so they could save the Yankees $5 million a year to add a first baseman or something like that. And that might not be out of the woods. Like they said, they're going to keep talking. So we'll see and they keep saying extension. So
I think they're talking about what they did with CeCe. I think they're saying, cause that's what Cashman said in his long quotes was we want him to end as a Yankee. He's got 4 more years. If that's the end, that's great. Or maybe we do add on some years when we get there. At first I thought it was, let's see what money is still remaining. If we get Soto, what's the cap, and talk about extensions now. The full Cashman quote is no. We're talking about, if we get
Yankee
there.
for life.
Yeah, CeCe just got 1 year, $10 million, his last 2 years, or 1 year, $12 million. Just hey, give us some more innings. That's what the full quotes more looked like.
Yeah, and I think we'll see something that BBD was on the sniff test of hey, let's say Cole rides this thing out and at age 37, when the contract winds down, he's still dealing. Justin Verlander got $43 million per year for 2 years at age 40.
Yeah, what did Scherzer get?
Right? Scherzer got, I think it was a 3-year deal with similar amounts of money. So
there's a big money deal to be had if he's still Garrett Cole
and
at 37, 38.
Natural inflation and how baseball works. If Cole looks like a version of Garrett Cole at age 37, he's probably looking at $50 million a year. So I wonder, again, office meme of everyone fake holding guns at each other. I don't know. I think Cole and the Yankees kind of didn't want that last year, and I think it was just all right, let's see you when we see you.
Cash said it was Boris, Garrett, Hal, him, and Randy Levine in the meeting, and they all agreed they wanted the same thing, but it was a small time frame.
I want to be in that meeting so bad. They're like all my idols in one room.
The question was, if he wanted to stay, why didn't he just opt in? Cashman said, "You mean not opt out?" I can't speak for that.
You know, I'm glad I wasn't in that meeting.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a lot of that.
I'm trying to find the line that, he's very like happy with him. Says it wasn't a game of chicken. Are you still talking? Cashman, right now we're not having any conversations. I flew from Charlotte to here. I got off a plane. It was pending with the union and MLB to approve where we're at right now. So, certainly I'll talk to Scott while I'm here about a lot of things. My main focus right now is trying to find as much talent as we possibly can to improve our chances in 25. But this was certainly a huge, important, chess piece to retain. So I don't think they're going to, a lot of people think they're like, an extension's like still coming later this offseason. I don't read this like that.
No, I would the only theory I would adhere to was your pre all this theory of that, like, hey, maybe we shuffle some money around. I think this has landed and it's kind of done.
I think when they're saying that, and I guess I won't rule out entirely that it happens this offseason, but it's like, I was thinking like when they say they'll keep talking extension, that's in 2 years when there's 2 years left, see where we're at.
Oh, here it is.
That was what it was in my head.
He said, and we could always talk further as we move forward about the future because the intent when we signed Garrett would be leading our staff to the end of his career. And so ultimately, we currently have in place, the contract that we signed him to take that takes him through, I think, age 37? His career, hopefully, will finish with the Yankees. Whether that's at the end of this contract or anything in the future, we can still talk through that. But the most important thing is, the biggest first step is we have our ace back, and we're excited about that. Which makes me think he's like, an extension could happen whenever because that's how this, once the guy's under contract, extensions can happen whenever, just the nature of it. But no, this is it for next couple years, which is good.
That makes the most sense.
It does. Kind of crazy. I don't know. Cole, Boris could have pushed for Cole to go try and get a longer, more money somewhere. I don't know if he would have.
It would have led to some good Talking Yanks episodes because there actually are free agent starting pitchers out there and decently high end that, the Yankees people in the office were doing, do they want Corbin Burns' age 30 through 35 season instead of Cole's? We don't have to do that. Garrett Cole's back. He's kind of like our favorite leader on the Yankees.
Yeah. Got hurt. Hopefully he stays healthy, and he looked good.
Performs, give honest quotes.
If they get through that, if they make those plays in that fifth inning,
God.
He's probably on his way to like an 8-inning outing. It's crazy. Real quick to wrap up some other shit the Yankees have done. Verdugo's now a free agent. Tim Hill's a free agent. Juan Soto's a free agent. Rizzo had a club option. They declined it. Or he declined it? They declined it.
Their option. They all opted out.
Yeah, he's out. Lou Trevino had his club option declined. Duke Ellis outrighted to the minors. And then they did not offer a qualifying offer to Soto, which some people in the office... to Glaber. Some people in the office yesterday were thinking they were going to, and I said there's no chance they do that at all. Glaber would take that qualifying offer like that, and now that's $25 million of the... If you sign Soto, that's around $40 million, unless they do crazy deferments, which I don't know they will.
Like starting there.
Yeah, that's $40 million. So now you have $40 more million to build the rest of your club. And if you offer Glaber that qualifying offer, no doubt he takes it. Then now you just cut half your budget for Glaber, who you don't, the only player they've benched in Boone's tenure.
Tried to trade him away.
And
the way they talk about him is not of a player they intend to keep under any circumstances, let alone on an inflated set. Like they would have not done that if they planned to re-sign Glaber.
And also, Glaber doesn't, that's probably not what he's going to get. I mean, his numbers weren't good on the year. Teoscar just had to take a pillow contract, and he had a way better year in 23 than Glaber had in 24. And he took a 1 year prove-it contract, so he wasn't,
Yeah, Teoscar, he did get Seattled a little bit. I mean, Glaber's full season is not good. I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
there are offensive and every defensive metric has him as a negative. There's still some
Especially this
offensive
year.
metrics that had him on the season as a negative. That to pay him, the qualifying offer is the average of the the top.
125 salaries, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no.
But I'm saying
chance.
Tasker had better numbers, got Seattled, and he took a 1-year deal.
Right. And I think front offices recognize Teoscar as a better player in general. But,
That's the same thing.
Glaber's going to have an interesting free agency. I do think a team is going to cave because I think, hey, if the team believes in their coaches, Glaber's been looking for that for 5 years. And you saw in the second half, he looked like the Glaber Torres, the hitter that people know. So it'll sort out. I think it's probably going to be a long free agency for him, but the right team will settle in. But yeah, not near that price tag.
No.
It's probably, if I had to guess for Glaber, it's a medium market team that signs him for 2 years that hopes they can squeeze 2 really good years out of him.
And if he doesn't want to do that, then he could sign a 1-year
And
deal.
he's looking,
He might want to do the 1 year, reset his value a little bit.
I think
he's at an age where he can.
That would be
his value just lands in a weird spot between age, having playoff success, having done it in New York. We know he's not been great at an up the middle position, but he plays one. I'm truly curious where it's going to land. But
2 for 30 from a bad team, or he's going to be in spring training looking for a 1 for 13.
Are there any other second baseman? No. Kim, if you want him to play second.
Depending where you want him, yeah.
Third and Jazz.
There's a lot of teams that don't look at Glaber as a second baseman.
Polanco.
It's out there.
It's interesting.
Oh my God.
So they didn't do that.
Only other one from that rundown, and we'll probably talk about these more Thursdays. They did pick up Weaver's option, which I don't think we.
Hell
we
yeah!
said. Easy choice.
Who else is on that list? Who else? Just to give people some clarity on who can also not be back, real quick. Jose Trevino. He's not a lock
Right.
to come back.
The potential non-tenders.
Yes.
Trevino, Grisham.
And this isn't I don't know. The Yankees don't really non-tender guys, but they could trade them.
They could. Yeah, trade them before they have to make that choice.
Yeah.
The Yankees view all of those potential guys as assets that they're probably bringing back and then would probably try to flip them.
If they get Soto, then there's probably trades. And then you're looking at a lot of people. If anyone would take Grisham be part of a package. Nestor could be a package.
They non-tendered Higgy, right?
Or
Trevino?
They did. I know they did that to him at some point, or Romine. I know they did and got him back. Higgy, I think they did. I forget what year that was.
Yeah.
So,
they non-tendered Lou Trevino, Albert Abreu, and Anthony Misowitz.
Albert.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll keep you updated. I think there's more pressers coming from the Yanks and Cashman and all that.
17 Higgy homers in San Diego this year.
Yeah.
Free agent.
See ya. Goodbye. Go Yanks. Tom Grams.
Go Yankees.
Do your best impression of Baby James saying goodbye.
I kind of just talks now.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Real do.